Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Finding Your Joy. Oh boy, am I happy to share a fellow KKNW host with you today. She is going to be so inspiring, and we are going to have so much fun today. I have with us Sunny Joy McMillan. She is a recovering attorney and a practicing master life coach who hosts Sunny in Seattle. I love it. A weekly radio show that airs on Fridays on KKNW 1150 AM. She is also the author of the Amazon bestseller, Unhitched, Unlock Your Courage and Clarity and Unstick Your Bad Marriage. Oh, I love it. I love it, Sunny. First off, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you so much, Paula. I've been looking forward to talking to you.
Yes, I have been counting the days. Tell us a bit about your background, Sunny, and what brought you to where you're at, hosting a radio show, writing bestseller books.
Yeah, well, thanks. So I was an attorney. I know you read in my bio, I'm a recovering attorney. So I will just say, and I think for KKNW listeners, this may resonate, I was not in my right life. And I realized that through the writing of Dr. Martha Beck. And I was just so taken with her writing and her organization that when I knew that I needed to transition out of law and I was not in the right life on all accounts, my marriage, my profession, where I was living, all of the above, Martha's writing really catalyzed me out of that life. And I ended up, because I wanted to stay close to her organization, going to her life coach training program, even though I hadn't set out to become a life coach. But I found that I just fell in love with all of the neuroscience and the positive psychology, and I really liked working with people. And so one of the things that they told us in that program, which I thought was so amazing, was when you decide to go hang your shingle and become a coach, if you're kind of not lost, but you're looking for what kind of niche you want to do, how do you want to help people? They said, go to your hell and back. And where have you been to hell and gotten out that you can help other people who are still in hell get out? And so for me, that was my journey through deciding to leave my marriage and going through the process of divorce and the healing and the hope that came on the other side of it. And that's really how I came to do the work I'm doing. And my program is focused, my radio program on KKNW is just focused on mind, body, spirit wellness, which is my happy place. Is learning about that, helping others know more about it.
Oh, I love it. We are energy sisters. I love it. That is so wonderful, and we're so lucky to have you sharing all of that.
Well, thank you.
Oh, and what a shift from attorney to life coach. That's not something you hear every day.
Yeah, and it wasn't something that I could have called. It's that, what is that Steve Jobs quote that he gave at that commencement address about you can't connect the dots looking forward, you can only connect them looking backward. And now it makes perfect sense to me. The breadcrumbs arrived and appeared for me to follow. And I was willing to follow them because I was very unhappy in my old life. And yeah, I laugh about it now because if I'm being completely honest, I didn't go to had a really low self-worth. And I thought if I had a graduate degree in a profession that, my parents and peers respected, that it would make me feel better. And ultimately I found that's not where we get our self-worth from. And so, yeah, it's been a journey of finding my self-worth through my connection with Source and through a lot of healing and self-love.
I love it. I love it. Well, I would like to begin in your topic of your book, that in your title, Unlock Your Courage. Oh, that is not easy to do for so many areas. So give us some of the prime messages that you came across about that in your book.
Yes. Well, so the full title of the book is called Unhitched, Unlock Your Courage and Clarity and Unstick Your Bad Marriage. And unlocking the courage is the biggest component, I think, because for many years, I think that on a very deep level, I knew what I needed to do. And I often tell clients, you're not confused, you're just afraid of the action you know you must take. And I knew the action I needed to take. Right? Do you relate to that, Paula? You know? Yeah. So the courage component, what I often tell people, and I found this to be true in my life as well as that of my clients, is the fear is part and parcel of being human. You're going to feel the fear, and it's just like the book says, feel the fear and do it anyway. I thought maybe if I waited long enough, I wouldn't be afraid anymore, and I just don't believe that that's true. So it's a matter of stepping through the fear and unlocking the courage. And I personally unlocked the courage by tuning out all the external noise, the parents who said divorce was not an option, or the peers who said, oh my gosh, you can't leave that life behind. Look at all that, you and your ex-husband created. Why would you want to let all that go? And instead, turning out all that external noise and instead going inside, tuning in to my own inner voice, which I hadn't always listened to. I hadn't been taught how to access it and how to listen to it. But once I got connected to that intuition or that inner wisdom, that right there gave me the knowing, the clarity, and the courage to step outside of this life that I'd created that I knew was not reflective of who I really was, my most essential self.
Yes. Yes. Would you say, much of the time we can want to make a move and be in fear and think we have to wait until we're not afraid anymore. Yeah. But I love what you say, step through the fear, out of the fear. That's a fantastic approach. Because many times we just say, well, when I'm not fearful anymore, I can do it.
That's not going to happen in my experience.
Yeah.
I mean, the way our brains have evolved and are wired, it doesn't really like change. It wants us to stay where we are. Even if where we are is only tolerable, or even if we are isn't even healthy, often there is this resistance to change and a lot of fear because we don't know what's on the other side. But the thing, Paula, one of the biggest components also that I didn't mention a moment ago, but because it's KK&W, I know I can. I used to white knuckle death grip create this reality that I thought that would make me happy. The fancy job or the money in the bank account, all that kind of stuff. And when I learned, that didn't make me happy, I was exasperated, and I kind of just threw my hands up and went, okay, I'm just going to pretend that it's a benevolent universe, that I am, as all these people are saying, divinely supported, and that the help will appear if I show up. And so I jumped, and the net did appear, and I found that it is an incredibly benevolent universe, and that every time I felt a bit lost, a breadcrumb would appear for me to follow. And it was the next synchronistic step leading me to where we sit today talking.
Wow. Wow. That's such an inspiration for so many of us that may be stuck in a situation and, not knowing how to make the steps and the moves, your experiences. So in the book, tell us a bit about some of the messages you share as, for someone thinking, I really need this help. What are they going to experience reading your book?
Well, the book actually mirrors my coaching process. And it's, I spend 8 weeks with my clients generally, and we walk step by step through tuning into your inner wisdom to get the clarity around what you want to do in the relationship. Once you know the action, the scary action often that you must take, how to have the courage to do it, how to tune out the fearful thoughts that say you're going to be alone forever, you'll never be able to support yourself, and then tuning into also your connection to something greater, so that you have the support of the benevolent universe on your side. And if you do decide, in the title it says unstick your bad marriage. Unstick doesn't necessarily and always mean divorce. It can mean just getting out of stagnation. And I tell you, Paula, my opinion on this, just to back up a little bit, in 2009, the Dalai Lama said that the Western woman is going to change the world. And in my opinion, we can't change the world when we are at home with a stagnant or energy draining relationship. To me, our home life should at a bare minimum be energy neutral. Ideally, it should recharge us. But I see time and time again these women who come through my office who have these huge missions, big work to do in the world. And I'm not saying like becoming the next Oprah. I'm just saying being a light in a dark office space, basically. But they cannot do the work that they came here to do because 90% of their energy is being sucked into these relationships that are not healthy. You don't have to leave necessarily, but you got to do something to change it so that you can do what you came to do here in the world.
That's true, because an unhealthy relationship, it drains you.
Yeah. And I was married to a good man. We were together for 12 years, but I will say from day one, we were like kerosene and fire. There was a high level of conflict in our home on both sides. And I don't, who knows if it's past life stuff we're still working through, or if it's just the combination of our communication styles or something, else entirely. But whatever it was, there was nothing about my home life that was ever peaceful. Yeah, we had plenty of money and we had a life that looked good from the outside, but internally it was exhausting. And I found that I didn't have the energy for much else other than maybe to drink to numb what was going on in my marriage. And it reached a point where I realized if I'm going to do something more meaningful with my life, my relationship is not supporting that. And so we had a number of, years of counseling. We had separate and combined therapy, and we just couldn't seem to make it work. And so to me, the decision that was in the highest and best interest of us both was getting divorced. And I will tell you, while I had huge fears around that, Paula, it was the best decision that I could have made for my life. I would not be sitting here with you today. I wouldn't have the book that was published, that we're talking about, had I not taken the scary leap to change the stagnant situation that was really sucking me dry.
Yeah. And stagnant, that's a great term, because that is what you can find yourself in, especially in a draining, abusive relationship. And people can, there's probably times where, a person just gives up and says, this is what it is. And
yes,
they need that courage. So you work with people. Is that people locally, Sunny, or can people from across the country, around the world, work with you to help themselves with this?
Yes. And I will answer that. And I do want to clarify real quickly, Paula, I don't consider my particular marriage to be abusive. We were high conflict, like we both were at each other's throats. But I just want to make sure that I'm honoring my ex-husband, and he was not an abuser. We just fought a lot, loudly, all the time. Two attorneys just constantly duking it out like we were in court all the time.
Oh, I can imagine. Yes.
So to answer your question, yes, I work with women around the country. I do have quite a few clients here in Seattle. I'm sitting in my little office for people who do like to meet in person. But I think that's one thing, I don't know about you, but with coaching, it seems, you really only need a headset and a phone, or maybe an internet connection if you use Zoom, which is really nice because that gives me the ability to work with women and men anywhere. The book is definitely written as a love letter to my former self, so it's more in a female voice geared toward females. The tools still work for men, and I love working with men too. It's just the book was more written specifically for women.
You just crack me up. And I have to share, being married to an attorney, I learned many years ago, do not try to win an argument. It's like you're in court. That's my opinion. Oh. Too funny.
I know it's difficult.
Well, everybody, we're going to pop out for just a quick moment for a break, but Sunny and I will be right back. Thank you so much. Thank you, Sunny.